Looney Tunes parodied the biggest sitcom on television, and the star loved it so much, he told Warner Brothers to make as many as they wanted. Hello and welcome to another Looney Tunes review video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to follow my journey to review all 1000 classic Looney Tunes shorts and give this video a like as well. So this is a review for the Honeymooners, and with me today I have Ralph Kamden and Ned Morton themselves, my good friends Mark Arnold and Kamden Speed.
Hey, Ralphie boy.
Hey, Morton or something.
Your voice hasn't broken yet, Kamden. Okay, just a few bits of info to get underway. So as mentioned, this is a review for The Honeymooners, released on the 8th of December 1956. It's the 786th in the series, and it's directed by Bob McKimson. You can find this on the Looney Tunes Golden Collection Volume 3 DVD set. It was restored in HD at the time, so what you see on streaming is the high definition version. At the time of this recording, it's not on disc yet, but it should be. I don't see why not. It's a safe cartoon, so yeah. Not on YouTube though, unless Warner Brothers choose to upload it on their own channel due to copyright, and if you see someone else have it, well, it'll be taken down sooner or later. But in case you haven't seen this one, it is a rodent-sized spoof of the classic Jackie Gleason sitcom, The Honeymooners. Yay! And the whole cartoon is just basically two mice trying to get some cheese, and yeah. We'll go through the whole cartoon from start to finish. But in terms of trivia, let's get the big one out of the way. So I mentioned this is a spoof on The Honeymooners. It's a pretty good title, actually. For those who don't know The Honeymooners, because I feel like that there's a whole generation that really do not know, because it's not really shown on TV, at least in such a way people can accidentally discover it. But the show itself, though, Mark, do you want to just tell people what is The Honeymooners?
The premise is that Jackie Gleason, comedian, plays Ralph Kamden. He's kind of a loudmouth, boorish, egomaniac bus driver, and he lives with his wife, Alice. They get into arguments and tend to make up by the end of the show. He has a upstairs neighbor who works in the sewers named Ed Norton, who's played by Art Carney. I should say Alice is usually played by Audrey Meadows, but she has been played by other people. The original person was Pert Kelton, actually. But in the famous 39, there's one season where they actually did Honeymooners shows filmed, and they're called the Classic 39. Those all had Audrey Meadows. And Ed Norton's wife, Trixie, played by Joyce Randolph. She also appeared in all the episodes. Well, not in all the episodes. I rewatched the 39 recently because I got it on Blu-ray, and she doesn't appear often, but she is the consistent Trixie.
I think it was kind of based on the Bickersons, right?
In a way, yeah. I mean, in the fact that they got into arguments a lot. The difference there is Honeymooners is a little more fleshed out. They had more of a personality rather than the whole point of it being arguing. They did show a softer side at times and things like that because, like I said, generally they would make up by the end of the episode. There's a lot of taglines or classic lines or whatever, like "to the moon" or "and Alice, you're the greatest," and different and blah 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 boom and all this stuff.
We're gonna get to other reasons why later, but you can make hundreds of arguments of what film star influenced animation the most. There's an entire book about how the Marx Brothers influenced animation the most. There's ideas of Chaplin and Keaton and Laurel and Hardy, and you could say W.C. Fields. But there's only one television comedian, really, that you could say inspired animators the most, and that is Jackie Gleason. It's really like he inspired the artists at MGM, the artists at Warner Brothers, and like the whole concept of Hanna-Barbera.
I think it's because Gleason was kind of like a cartoon character himself. No, he was heavy. He could move, and he would go, and away we go, and he'd dash off, like a ballet star or a ballerina or whatever.
Up until now, we've heard a lot of references from the Honeymooners already. First starting with Hide and Hair, where you actually hear Bugs Bunny say, "You are a mental case."
Yeah.
That's the first time you ever hear it.
You are a mental case.
All three directors, Honeymooners references. All three of them did.
Well, I think they were all fans, and I think Ted Pierce is probably the biggest fan as the writer, and he wrote a lot of these scripts.
There seems to be a common misconception also online or in books that Stan Freberg is in this cartoon. He is not. I think the error comes from the fact that there is a record that was released a few years prior called The Honey Earthers with Daws, Stan, and June. And Peter Leeds, the Freberg's typical players, all four of them were. typical players, even though Daws has been doing an Art Carney impression for Warner Brothers for a while, without a doubt why probably they were the easy choice for this cast. It was the easy choice because of that record.
The people who actually do the voices here, I'll just confirm that now. So you've got Daws Butler playing Ralph Kamden and Ned Morton. Love those variations of the names. We have Alice, but we don't have Trixie in this entry. So I guess it wasn't really needed in this.
I wonder, though, if she was, because she appeared in the other cartoon, so I wonder if they had pre-designed her, not knowing if they would use her or not in the cartoon.
Like I said, in the classic 39, Trixie doesn't appear in every episode. She's missing quite a bit, so it's usually the primary three.
So that's probably what they went for here. Alice is voiced by June Foray, and she also does the voices of the cat, which she also did in Cinderella.
Does it have a name?
No. I mean, we can give it the same name as Cinderella. We can call it Lucifer.
Apparently they call it Sam, I guess.
Well, it's kind of like the Sam cat that Freeling was using at the time, the eye patch cat or whatever, but it's got no name. It's just cat.
Lucifer was moonlighting.
It's Lucifer's cousin.
He was trying to break in the business, so you got him over at Warner Brothers instead of Disney. Okay.
There we are.
Make up the good backstory that makes sense.
We did definitely point out, by the way, that I also wanted to say that the biggest comedian of all time in television at the time was Lucille Ball. And we were all discussing this before this recording. None of us can think of a single cartoon that ever references Lucille Ball.
Yeah.
Correct. And that was huge. I Love Lucy was a massive show.
As I was saying, she kind of associated herself separately from the rest of the crowd. Desilu Studios was open to a lot of different productions. Andy Griffith filmed there, and a lot of other productions filmed on the lot.
The Dick Van Dyke Show?
Lucy didn't. She was very controlled of who she interacted with in the entertainment industry. She'd interact with like Bob Hope, let's say, but she wouldn't always interact with all the other comedians. She was kind of her own person, and that probably was by choice. The only animation really about I Love Lucy is on the opening credits of the original I Love Lucy,
which Hanna-Barbera did.
And you'd think somewhere along the line Hanna-Barbera would have done an I Love Lucy based show based on the fact that they did that, but they never did.
Unlike the Flintstones, Jackie Gleason, apparently, according to June Foray, gave his okay for the Honeymooners.
He did, yeah. I mean, the story that June Foray mentions on the audio commentary, she does with Jerry Beck, that's on that set I mentioned earlier, which, by the way, she tells Jerry to shut up at the end, which is hilarious. I should point that out. In a comedic way, okay? It's
no, it wasn't like
no, not that way. No. She reenacts the Alice line, shut up. It was quite funny, actually. I forgot all about that. But she recounts the story that Jackie Gleason wasn't happy, because that's what McKimson told her. And they sent him a print to have a look, and he loved it. He was so delighted that he said, yeah, make as many of them as you want, which they did. Audiences at the time would have got a real big kick out of this, because the Honeymooners, it can't be understated, it was very popular, especially those 39 that you mentioned, Mark.
It is fair to say that this of the cartoon also eventually led to a even better cartoon, The Mouse That Jack Built.
Yes, I can't wait to cover that one, but that will be a while away once I turn 75.
I have a question. Anybody's research, and I'm sure the answer was they never considered it, but of course The Mouse That Jack Built had the real Jack Benny cast, probably courtesy through Mail Blank since he was on the Jack Benny show. Did anyone ever reach out to Jackie Gleason himself and say, hey, would you like to voice your own character? I mean, I know they didn't tend to do that back then. Back then, they tended to do sound-alikes rather than get the actual star. But was that ever a thought? Because this would have been considered just a one-off cartoon, and they could have gotten the real Jackie Gleason, Audrey Meadows, and everybody else.
I doubt it, because Daws had been established as the definitive cartoon soundboard for both of those performers.
Yeah. Also, in the audio commentary, it was interesting that June Foray mentioned didn't even realize that there was the sequels, which are Cheese It the Cat and Mice Follies. The only reason for that, she wasn't asked for whatever reason to voice Alice in those shorts. She only does this one, in case people were wondering. And we've already mentioned this in our track for Video Wabbit. This is the second and final film editing job by Irwin Jay, which hardly anyone knows about what he actually did. So any more information on him is appreciated. But I do cover part of that in Video Wabbit if you want to check that review.
We're in that one. Sorry, people.
Yeah, exactly. So we just happened to be just coincidence. But look, the short itself, I mean, it's one thing to do a parody, and it's another thing to do a parody well. It's all well and good, like in Video Wabbit, to see, oh yeah, there's a reference, and go on, and it's okay. This one is pretty solid. Yes, it's your typical cat and mouse type thing which you've seen a million times, but it's got a new flavor to it. It's got a different coat of paint. Like, it's different. It works really well. I think it's very solid. And I never saw this one until I got the Golden Collection, by the way. But what about you, Mark?
They played it a lot on the Bugs Bunny
Is
Roadrunner
it?
show on Saturday mornings. All three of them, actually. But, you know, you got to remember in the 70s, Jackie Gleason still was doing Honeymooners reunion shows and things like that. So it was still fresh. It was still current.
And that's the thing. He was not only alive, Honeymooners will still be in the collective consciousness of people. Whereas now, they might just look at this and just go, oh, this is unusual, and not know why.
The Honeymooners is still on television on MeTV and all those networks in the United
But
States.
it really hadn't been rediscovered yet because he was doing new ones. He'd do Honeymooners Valentine's special, Christmas special, you name it special, Arbor Day, whatever.
It really got rediscovered also when they discovered those lost episodes, right?
That had a lot to do with it too, is because for years everybody thought there was only the 39 and everything else got destroyed. And Jackie Gleason pulled a fast one, which was a good thing, is he happened to have a vault, as it were, filled with old episodes that just never saw the light of day since they originally aired in their kinescopes and stuff, which aren't the best of quality, but at least they were there. And you could see the evolution of certain characters and changes that happen, and how sometimes they even redid certain episodes because when the classic 39 came along, they said, oh, that was a good story. Let's redo that one better.
And I guess a lot of people might know Honeymooners now because of Back to the Future, because of one little joke about what's a rerun. But I reckon we take a look at this short from start to finish and go, even if you know nothing about the Honeymooners, why this one is at least entertaining. We start off, we're in New York.
I agree. This establishes itself as New York because that's where the show is taking place. And also, the first thing you see is an apartment building. It may make audience think to yourself, are these mice living in the same apartment as the actual Honeymooners?
I always thought that.
No, apparently Honeymooners is a house for rent, so maybe they got kicked out. So maybe they had enough of their nonsense. Maybe they got kicked out.
Never thought about that.
Now we're left with the mice version.
Like, how can there be a two-story mouse hole where it's like, where does Morton, I guess in this case, come from?
It's things like they keep me up at night. Yeah. He comes in, he's bringing home the cheese, and we get the usual spiel. I mean, I love this opening establishing shot where we don't actually see the mousetrap. Originally, he brings it in and
Hey, Alice! Alice! Come here, baby, and see what your ever-loving husband and provider has brought you.
Are you kidding, Ralph? A hunk of old stale cheese.
Well, what do you expect? That's the last morsel of food left in the joint since the people moved out. And I had to get that the hard way.
It's great opening, and again, even if you don't know the dynamic already from the show, it gets things set up really, really well. And Ted Pierce wrote this. I would argue that he might be even more into TV than McKimson was. I think McKimson loved TV, but Ted Pierce, because he was the writer, he was the one
All
pushing
three
it
of the
more.
writers, though, seem to love the Honeymooners because Mike Maltese and Warren Foster were the established writers for the Flintstones, and Warren Foster wrote the pilot for it.
But can we take a look at this room? Like their apartment block. I just love how cute it is, how it's designed. You got the clothes pegs for the table, a playing card on the top, spools of thread as the chairs. It's pretty creative. But who do we see enter the door after the initial argument?
Just to live with no food in the dump.
Oh, somebody'll move in
and find a couple of dead mice.
I ought to belch you one.
Hey, Ralph, Ralphie boy, new people moving in.
Hey, no kidding?
Come on, we go have a look-see in the kitchen.
Well, Ed Morton, which you gotta love gotta love the copyright-free names on these characters.
Oh yeah, well,
Kamden and Morton.
Kamden and Morton. So basically, there's new tenants arriving, or maybe this cartoon is actually the prequel. Like, did they have a cat and the Honeymooners? I don't think they did, so maybe it doesn't fit that way.
Yeah.
Or maybe they had a cat at first and they got rid of it.
No, they never had any pets for any duration. If they had any sort of animals, it was always for the sake of the episode. Then usually by the end, something would happen that it went back to the pet shop or whatever. No, there's always a resolution that, basically got them back to where they were when they started. It's like he'd win a lot of money and then something would happen and it would be gone by the end of the episode. It's typical situation comedy.
But if you pay close attention to that shot where they're seeing the tenants moving in and the stuff being moved in, you'll notice the same shot repeated twice with the containers containing PS brand and J&W brand. What brands are those? I have no idea. But
Jack
that shot's
Warner?
repeated twice. Which
was it?
Maybe?
Well, there used to be a brand called S&W. I don't know if that still exists, but
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe it could be. Of course, repeated animation means that this is a 0 out of 10 cartoon. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But it's economical. But this shot of the cat, it's great design. I like the fact that they have 2 different color eyes. A nice little observation. But that shot of him just approaching the mouse hole and Ned is none the wiser. He just closes the door. Great shot.
See, get a load of the icebox.
Hey, Alice, you ought to see what they're moving in. Like having Greenblatt's delicatessen right next door to us.
Yeah, everything for the kitchen for the cat. They'll be feasting tonight, Ralphie boy.
Sure enough, we cut the next shot. And what chips do we see on the table? Flamingo $5 and Flamingo $10. It's not Las Vegas. It's Lost Wages. I mean, do you know where that town is in Nevada? Do you guys have any idea where it is? I've heard of Las Vegas, but not Lost Wages. Oh, it's a parody. I get it. And what do we hear in the background here? We hear Ain't We Got Fun, because of course we do.
All quiet on the Western Front, Ralph. Let's go get the groceries.
How many times have we heard Ain't We Got Fun? I don't know if this is the last one or not, but they're definitely using less and less music cues, and it's Milt Franklyn doing the score, and he does less of those anyway. What's called Mickey Mousing when it comes to music. But even the detail of those little thimbles as well as being cups, just the attention to detail is at least great. Chuck Jones would actually do some similar stuff with oversized items doubling as furniture, and McKimson does pretty well here too, I'd say. In this case, you're not distracted by the background elements, but if you pay attention, you can notice these nice little details that look really good. First thing first, it's okay, Ralph's going to go out and see this cat, and 2 seconds later, he's already mauled.
Wait a minute, Martin. I'll get the grub. I am not in the mood for mustard ice cream and creplocks. You wait here.
What's wrong with mustard ice cream and creplocks?
It's a great little introduction, but the gag that really gets me is the whole thing with Ned just being sliced the way he does, and he just splits up. We've seen this before in Frizz shorts of late, but seeing it here, ouch.
There's a cat in the kitchen.
Cat? Can't be no cat, Ralph. I don't see no cat, Ralph. But I feel his presence.
Now we get into the meat of the cartoon. So we spend the whole first half really just establishing, here's a setup, here's our Honeymooners-esque dynamic, and we're now going to do the usual, hey, mice have a goal and cats guarding the objective kind of thing. So yeah, again, we've seen this a million times. It's just a matter of how it's done, and here,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's pretty good. I mean, what do they do first with the can? The tomato can?
Yeah, they gotta run around and try to get the cheese or try to get whatever in the.
Yeah, it starts simple with the can, right? But he just gets crushed. I mean, not to death, of course, but that certainly will look pretty painful. But my favorite gag is the next one. It's that whole, I don't know if you call it a Trojan horse or Trojan dog or whatever
Trojan
that
Dog,
is. It's just, yeah, it's like the way it's operated, though. I mean, I'm looking at it going, how on earth is this even work?
Both switches control both legs. Those 2 giant wooden blocks are being able to controlled by 2 tiny mice. Cartoon logic for sure, and cartoon measurement too.
We hear that classic line that, again, people at the time would have been very familiar with. The whole one of these days, pow, right in the, which we heard all the way back from Granny saying it in that Riding Hood parody. This Trojan dog is a French poodle bearing gifts. You gotta love that line.
How do you like it?
What is it?
No doubt you have heard of the Trojan horse. Hey. Well, this here is a Trojan dog.
Yeah, beware French poodles bearing gifts, huh, Ralph?
Again, the voice acting here is just so spot on. The way Daws Butler is able to make these 2 separate characters sound like 2 separate characters, But they make it to the fridge, and they end up putting stuff inside like ice cream.
Some people might ask, why is there ice cream in the fridge? Well, they never had a refrigerator on the Honeymooners. It was always an icebox. So, icebox is a precursor to a refrigerator where you actually put a big block of ice in a cupboard, as it were.
We see that the boys thinking that they're winning, that they're using that celery stick. And by the way, people know me, I hate celery. I can't stand it. Like, even when I see it on the screen, like, ugh. But anyway, that's just me. But anyway, they're putting the stuff into the dog, and the cat sneaks in the dog's behind. Sounds kind of weird me saying it, but you'll see it on the screen. You'll know what I mean. But I just love that whole animated bit where the cat's in there, the mice think, oh, we've actually succeeded, and The whole animation of this Trojan dog poodle thingy is just going
Which
absolutely
begs the
berserk.
question, how did they get the Trojan dog out of their mouse hole in the first place?
Oh, mysteries of life, I guess. We got that nice little topper where the cat is just, Lucifer's cousin. He ends up just clicking his fingers in disappointment. Just a nice little... Oh, shucks. Damn it. I didn't get it right. But that leads us to the last bit here. And this is something that you would see a lot in the Honeymooners, wouldn't you? I mean, a lot of these episodes, I'll admit, I've not seen all 39. I've seen a few episodes.
Yeah, because it's a situation, something happens, but at the end, they're back where they started.
Yeah.
There's no progress on it like some sitcoms do. Like if you watch a sitcom that's gone on for a few years, characters get married, they get divorced, they have kids, whatever, Honeymooners was never like that. He was always kind of down on his luck. He might come into fortune, but it was gone by the end of the episode.
The Honeymooners never left the apartment either.
No. I think the only time is if he was on a game show, there was a game show set. But in general, they were just the apartment.
In this case, it definitely matches what the show was. And
Ralph, like I've been trying to tell you, why don't you just get rid of the cat?
Hey, Martin, why don't we just get rid of the cat?
Yeah, Ralph. Why don't we just get rid of the cat?
Oh, I oughta... Well, Mrs. Kamden, if it's so simple, why don't you do it?
Again, if you haven't seen the show, well, yeah, it ends on a nice note. It's like, oh, they're back in love again until they aren't.
Ah, shut up! Now beat it! Scram!
And that's pretty much it. Oh, and by the way, you hear, "Oh, you beautiful doll" at the very end, because you do, because why not? In terms of a rating, this one, again, it's your typical cat versus mouse thing, but with a different flavor to it. It's a parody, of course, of the Honeymooners, as we've discussed, so it's something at least different, yet it's also the same. And a good parody, it just doesn't rely only on its own references. It has to be something well made all round, and I think this short definitely accomplishes that. It's a solid parody. It's actually pretty funny, and for those who know the reference, it's probably even better. But this one gets, I don't know, 8 out of 10.
agree.
I like it. It's fun. Yeah.
I agree.
Of the 3 Honeymooners cartoons, actually, I like Mice Follies the best, but I still like them all.
I think they're all great. I'll have to refresh my memory on the other two.
Briefly on Mice Follies, the ending is where the cat in that one is chased both couples away and they end up on different park benches.
Oh, yeah,
I
that's
just
right.
like
Yeah,
that
that's right.
ending, that they're too afraid to go home. So, anyway, we'll talk about that in 30 years from now. So
100%. But that will do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And until next time, take care.
Come on, Martin.
Yeah, sure, Ralph.
Alice! You're the greatest.